You ever have one of those moments where you're just living your regular old life, minding your own business, and suddenly, boom, somebody else's insanity steamrolls right into your yard? That's exactly what happened to me, and I swear the story I'm about to tell you will have you shaking your head, laughing, and maybe even double-checking who runs your own neighborhood, because what started with a Karen screaming about mowing my lawn turned into the wildest uncovering of HOA corruption this town has ever seen. I'm not kidding, I was literally told to my face that I couldn't mow my own grass without permission. And that was just the warm-up. So picture this. It's late spring, perfect weather, sun shining my old Stones playlist, rattling around my headphones, and I'm finally feeling a little peace after my divorce, cutting the grass on the bit of land I'd saved years to buy my own little patch a couple hundred yards away from the shiny gates of the Pine Valley HOA. I picked this place on purpose, too. The county record said it wasn't HOA territory. Freedom, baby. That is until I spot this white Mercedes SUV fishtailing up my drive looking like someone in a panic or on a power trip, probably both. Out steps this woman, Linda Hartwell, president, Pine Valley HOA, if you can believe her gold-embroidered polo, maybe 50-something, the type whose haircut costs more than my monthly groceries marching across my lawn with the authority of a drill sergeant. She's got a laminated map and an attitude to match, telling me point blank I can't mow my own grass without their precious approval. I try to stay polite, headphones off, mower off, thinking maybe she's lost, but nope, she's dead serious, brandishing a map she claims is official HOA boundaries, even though my deed and the county both say otherwise. The map, by the way, looks like someone drew over the lines with a fat black Sharpie, real professional stuff. I try reasoning, but Linda's not listening. She jabs the map in my face, all but foaming at the mouth, insisting my property is absolutely within our regulated zone. And when I don't immediately kneel to the HOA gods, she pulls out her phone and makes the first of what would become 7 police calls in 2 weeks. The first time she's ranting about noise ordinances at 3 in the afternoon on a Saturday, no less. Officer Rodriguez, who would soon become a regular, shows up, confirms there's no law against mowing at that time, and even checks my deed. Rodriguez leaves, but not before warning Linda about wasting the cop's time with nonsense. But Linda, she's just getting started. Monday, she's back on the horn with dispatch about my unauthorized landscaping ruining the community's visual standards. Tuesday, she's at the property line with a magnifying glass pointing out 3 stray grass clippings that, according to her, are debris encroaching on HOA property. Wednesday, pounding on my front door at 7 a.m. in a bathrobe demanding a compliance inspection. Thursday, she files a bogus report with county code enforcement about illegal structures on my ranch. By Friday, she's parked outside with a zoom lens camera snapping photos of me like she's a wildlife photographer documenting a rare bird. And just when I thought things couldn't get more ridiculous, Sunday morning I find a stack of papers taped to my door demanding $500 a month in HOA fees plus $2,000 in back dues for services I never asked for, never received. All this for property that doesn't even belong to her jurisdiction. I start recording everything because I'm starting to think this woman is less neighborhood busybody and more dangerous with a grudge. But here's where the plot thickens. I start talking to actual Pine Valley neighbors, and they look at me like I'm holding a live grenade when I mention Linda's name. Old Mrs. Wilson whispers, "Be careful with Linda. She's thorough." Mr. Peterson, 2 houses down, tells me nobody else wants the president's job because Linda handles all the money, all the books, writes every check, and she doesn't like questions. Turns out families who asked about financials or fees just sort of moved away. Fast. Some even lost money selling their homes in a hurry. Curiosity got the best of me, so I did a little digging. County records back me up, my ranch isn't in the HOA, but I find old news clippings 3 years ago. Pine Valley had a budget shortfall, followed by emergency assessments and whispers about questionable finances, then nothing. One family, the Morrisons, sold at a massive loss after a feud with Linda. Their son posted online about walking away from bullies for your own peace. A pattern started to emerge. Linda would target families, pile on made-up fees and violations, and keep harassing until they caved and left. Now I'm thinking, what's so special about my property that she's willing to fake maps, call the cops, and basically lose her mind trying to get control? I mean, it's not like it's prime real estate and there are other closer plots to the main neighborhood. Something here doesn't add up. So I decide if Linda wants boundaries so bad, I'll give her a real one fence post, property lines staked by the county survey, the whole deal. Digging holes is good therapy after all this craziness. About 50 yards into the little woods between my house and the HOA, my shovel hits something hard. Not a rock, but a rusted old metal box, heavy, the lock rotted away. Inside, wrapped in layers of plastic, I find stacks of financial documents, bank statements, invoices, check stubs, all with Linda's name on them. And here's the kicker. The amounts are wild. $12,000 for emergency roof repair, $8,000 for landscaping consultation, $15,000 for legal services, none of which ever happened according to every neighbor I asked, and the HOA's own appearance. Added up, and Linda's stolen at least $75,000 from her own community. That's just what was in this box. Now, I'm no detective, but it doesn't take a genius to realize why Linda was so obsessed with my property. She buried the evidence here years ago, back when this wooded patch belonged to the Morrisons. Then when her bullying forced them to move, and I bought the land, suddenly her dirty little secret was just out of reach. Before I can even stand up, Linda comes crashing through the trees. Hair a mess, shirt torn, wild-eyed and screaming, "What are you doing here?" I hold up the box, and she sees the papers spread around my feet. Her face goes ghost white. She lunges for the box, desperate, swearing those are private HOA documents, but I've already put two and two together. I call her out right there, and she panics, tries to bribe me first $20,000, then $50,000 to forget I ever found this. She even threatens me, saying she'll ruin my reputation, get me fired, make sure I can never work in this town again. But if there's one thing my divorce taught me, it's how to spot desperation when I see it. I take the evidence home, lay it all out, and the story is clear. Systematic embezzlement, harassment, blackmail, the works. I lose sleep over whether to get involved. I just wanted to live quietly, work on cars, enjoy my land. But thinking about all those families Linda ruined, the choice is obvious. Someone's got to stand up. I track down Tom Morrison, the old owner, and show him what I found. He confirms everything Linda invented: fake special assessments, threatened to put liens on homes, turned neighbors against each other, and hounded anyone who questioned her into selling. Other families went through the same $12,000 here, $22,000 there, until they lost everything or ran away to save their sanity. Linda gets wind of what's happening and goes nuclear. She calls my job files false reports, starts spreading rumors about me being dangerous. When that doesn't work, she files a police report claiming I stole HOA documents and tried to blackmail her. Officer Rodriguez shows up, probably expecting drama, but I walk him straight out to where I dug up the box on my property far from the HOA line. I show him the hole, the lockbox, the papers, every bit of evidence he needs. And then I play the recording I'd made where Linda literally offers me bribes to keep quiet and admits to running off the Morrisons. At that point, it's like the house of cards finally collapses. Rodriguez calls in detectives, and Linda gets arrested right there in the woods, still ranting about how she protected the community and deserved compensation. But it's over. The evidence is overwhelming. The case explodes on the evening news. Other families come forward, and the full scope comes out. Linda stole well over $100,000, ran protection rackets disguised as HOA fines, even spied on neighbors to use their personal problems against them. The Pine Valley HOA holds the biggest meeting in its history, tosses Linda out for good, and elects a new board with strict financial oversight and real transparency. The Morrison family even moves back, and Tom gets put in charge of the books. Families get their money back, rules change, the county passes new laws, and suddenly everybody's asking questions about their own HOAs. My property finally feels like home again. I plant tomatoes where Linda once buried her crimes and let myself breathe. Linda's trial is one for the history books. She tries to talk her way out, blames financial stress, but the jury isn't buying. She's sentenced to years in prison, banned from ever running a community again, and ordered to pay restitution until she's an old woman. The judge tells her straight up, "You didn't just steal money. You stole trust, community, peace of mind." That's the truth. So if you're listening to this and thinking, that could never happen in my neighborhood, well, maybe not. But then again, maybe you haven't checked who's drawing the lines on the map, who's signing the checks, or what might be buried just beneath your own backyard. Because sometimes the real villain is the one with the biggest smile and the best polo shirt. So tell me, where do you stand on all this? Is it ever okay to stay silent when you see a bully running the show? Or does every community need someone willing to dig up the truth no matter how dirty it gets? Let me know in the comments. Let's hear your stories, your opinions, and your thoughts on what real justice looks like.